I'm Russell Allen. I'm President and CEO of GaBio. We are Georgia's Life Science Industry Association, providing networking and advocacy for our growing life sciences industry. We provide direct business support and we offer promotions and advocacy for those companies. And we bring all that together here at events like today's Georgia Life Sciences Summit.
Since its beginning in 2001, the Life Sciences Summit has grown into the premier event for the Southeast's bioscience community. The summit provides a forum for professionals from industry, academia, and government to discuss major trends and issues. It's the one time each year that companies and universities have the opportunity to showcase Georgia's bioscience innovation. The program today will focus on subject tracks in three areas: science, finance and investment, and bioscience business. More than 50 speakers, renowned national and international experts, have assembled today to engage in discussions on trends and issues of critical importance to the life science industry. We have tremendous headline speakers, including the Honorable Governor Nathan Deal and Quintile's President and COO John Ratliff. We cannot make this event happen without the support of many sponsors, including MPI Research, who sponsored the breakfast today, VWR, the Georgia Department of Economic Development, Alameda Sciences, CDC Federal Credit Union, Smith Howard, Johnson & Johnson, and the Metro Atlanta Chamber. I would especially like to thank the Georgia Bio champions, major supporters of Georgia Bio's mission of sustaining and growing the life sciences industry in Georgia. We encourage everyone to connect and collaborate during and after the summit. I would like to remind everyone to take advantage of our new online conference community. Information on the online conference community is in the program if you have any questions. Finally, for those of you who are into social media, please tweet with hashtag GaBioSummit throughout the day. And now I'd like to welcome to the stage Dr. Bob McNally, President and CEO of GeoVax, a biotechnology company specializing in the creation, development, and commercialization of human vaccines to combat HIV. Bob will introduce us all to the TIGER program and its presenting project, Lymphatech. Bob?
Every year, the organizing committee of Georgia Bio provides a time for the presentation of emerging young entrepreneurial work. There's no better collaboration to showcase this activity than the Georgia Tech Emory TIGER program housed at the Scheller School of Management at Georgia Tech. The program features the technology of a Georgia Tech's PhD thesis, surrounds it with MBA students, and legal and IP input from Emory Law students. This year's team features the biomedical innovation provided by the PhD thesis of Mike Weiler. He's joined with two Georgia Tech MBA students, Nate Frank and Salim Va, along with two law students from Emory, Jeff Adams and Robert Jones. Last year, this team won the Product Showcase Award at Georgia Tech's Business Plan Competition and currently is in the second year of their commercialization planning. Now, to start us off, let me turn it over to Robert Jones and Team Lymphatech. Gentlemen.
Imagine someone you love, mother, daughter, wife, or sister, has just survived breast cancer. Now imagine that her arm has permanently and painfully swollen up to 8 times its normal size. This debilitating condition is known as lymphedema, and it reflects an inability of the lymph vessels to return fluid to the body due to the damage those vessels sustained through chemotherapy, radiation, and the surgical interventions associated with breast cancer. Lymphedema leaves breast cancer survivors with daily pain, depression, and an overall reduced quality of life. There are 2.7 million breast cancer survivors in the US today, and 250,000 more each year, which is an overwhelming tribute to the life-saving effects of breast cancer treatments. As we get better at treating breast cancer, we need to focus on survivorship issues, those issues which come up in life during life after cancer. Lymphedema is one of the more important ones because due to the therapies they undergo to cure their breast cancer survivors are left with a 50% risk of developing lymphedema. This risk can become a reality at any point during the rest of their lives. Lymphatech has developed a solution to exactly this problem. You see, currently available therapies exist which will serve to stop the progression of the disease, to stop the swelling. These procedures include compression therapies and massage techniques. In fact, some studies even show they can reverse the swelling if they're applied in the very earliest stages. But as we all know, no therapy will be applied until there's a diagnosis. And this is the gold standard. It's a tape measure. Not only is it inaccurate and imprecise, it's also ineffective at catching lymphedema until the swelling's already become permanent. Patients are just being diagnosed too late. Indeed, the Lymphedema Network has identified that an early-stage diagnostic device is the most critically needed advance in lymphedema care today. In our conversations with patients, physicians, and surgeons, we've identified the 4 capabilities that a lymphedema diagnostic device needs to possess. First, it needs to be able to track lymphedema progression, the actual swelling of the arm. Second, it needs to provide doctors with a diagnosis of lymphedema so they can apply the current therapies at the time when they're most worthwhile. Third, it needs to be able to assess a patient's overall lymphatic health over time. And finally, it needs to be adaptable to home use so that patients can take charge of their own care and reduce the number of touch points with the healthcare system. Currently available technologies range in complexity from the tape measure all the way up to the PET scan, and they all fall short because they're only volumetric measurements. They can only tell you the swelling that's already occurred. Lymphatech has developed a revolutionary diagnostic device which actually possesses all 4 capabilities.
Our imaging-based technology will transform the way doctors and clinicians diagnose and ultimately treat lymphedema, because for the first time ever, we can actually visualize in real time dynamic lymph flow through the lymphatic vessels. It begins simply with an injection of a near-infrared fluorescent dye called ICG. We give that injection in the skin of the patient, and it's naturally taken up by the lymphatic vessels. So it's important to understand this is beneath the skin, it can't be seen with the eyes. So to visualize it, we put the patient's arm in our customized imaging system. It's composed of a near-infrared sensitive camera with appropriate optics and filters and a laser diode. When we turn on the laser diode, it excites the dye within the lymphatic vessels, causing a fluorescent response. Our near-infrared sensitive camera can detect that fluorescence and give very powerful dynamic images of the lymphatic contractile events and fluid propagation within the vessels. You can see in this video on the right that the fluid actually flows in discrete fluid segments that we call packets. We can exploit this natural tendency to gain quantitative metrics of lymphatic function. We can look at packet frequency, packet velocity, transport time, all of which are indicative of lymphatic health. We can also combine this technique with a pressure cuff to get a lymphatic pumping pressure metric. Think of a blood pressure measurement for your lymphatic vessels. With the fluorescence already in the vessels, we inflate the pressure cuff. As the pressure in the cuff gets high enough, it occludes the vessels, and eventually that fluorescence will clear out. We're imaging the entire time, and as we then deflate the cuff, fluorescence will eventually return in the vessels. The point at which fluorescence returns, we define as the lymphatic pumping pressure metric. Think about how revolutionary blood pressure measurements were for studying the cardiovascular system. This has the potential to transform the way we understand lymphatic health and lymphatic disease. Combining our imaging technique with the pressure cuff allows us to generate a broad suite of metrics to understand lymphatic transport. Taken all together, this allows us to diagnose lymphedema before serious symptoms present. Early diagnosis allows early treatment, ultimately allows prevention of lymphedema. So how do we actually implement this into a business model? The first part is actually selling the hardware itself. We sell this full suite to doctors and clinicians to be used in the clinical setting. We also sell a much more simplified version, scaled down, for patients to be able to use in the home. They can monitor themselves monthly to minimize touch points with the continuum of care. Both doctors and patients use it in a similar, albeit slightly different way. And this is a pay-per-use or subscription recurring revenue model here. They both send their raw data from their scans remotely to our servers. This allows us to keep our algorithms a trade secret. We process their raw data, all the while we keep the data and get smarter and smarter at processing. We send back the doctors a very comprehensive report with all the quantitative metrics that they could ever want to help improve the standard of care for their patients. Patients, on the other hand, get a very simplified report, something that they can understand, a general sense of their lymphatic health and risk for developing lymphedema.
Lymphatech will deliver value to 3 distinct groups: patients, providers, and payers. Breast cancer survivors have already been down a long and difficult road from diagnosis to treatment, only to be faced with a 50% risk of contracting lymphedema and all of its debilitating side effects. These patients desperately need an early-stage diagnostic to improve their quality of life for the rest of their lives, and Lymphatech can provide this for them. Doctors are in this line of work because they're passionate about improving the lives of other people, their patients. They're constantly searching for new methods that allow them to improve the standard of care, and Lymphatech can provide this for them. And payers spend lots of money every year on lymphedema-related treatments. With more and more changes coming in the healthcare industry, these institutions are more and more concerned with improved patient outcomes and savings, and Lymphatech can provide this for them. In fact, more than $16 billion is spent every year on lymphedema-related treatments. But the Journal for Physical Therapy has cited a study that shows that if an early-stage diagnostic such as ours is used, there's chances that we could reduce these costs by 80%, thus resulting in $13 billion of annual savings. Helping us deliver this value are 4 main drivers of the market that show that this is the perfect time to develop this technology. First, healthcare overall is transitioning to a more preventative approach. Our diagnostic will empower our healthcare providers to prevent the onset of lymphedema for a very at-risk population. Second, the American Cancer Society recommends that all breast cancer survivors receive regular lymphedema screenings with a device such as ours, essentially creating a market for this device. Third, there are pre-existing insurance reimbursement codes that we will be able to take advantage of. This means that we won't have to go through the long and arduous process of getting new insurance codes created, speeding our path to the market and getting this into the hands of doctors. And finally, there's federal funding available in the form of an SBIR specific to lymphatic research, and we think we're well poised to capture these funds. Now, this not only signifies, this also signifies that we're not the only ones that recognize this problem and the importance of finding a solution. So why us? We're a multidisciplinary team of MBAs, JDs, and PhDs from Georgia Tech and Emory, and we've been working together over the past year and a half to help develop a solution to this problem. The technology is from the Laboratory for Lymphatic Biology and Bioengineering under the direction of Dr. Brandon Dixon at Georgia Tech. This lab has over 20 years of combined experience in lymphatic research, and in fact was recently awarded a $2 million grant from the National Institutes of Health to further develop the technology and research. We are also supported by multiple lymphedema awareness and advocacy groups that champion our cause and provide us access to each stakeholder within the continuum of care. This validates the work that we've been doing and also highlights the urgent need. These groups want our device in the clinics today. So we'd like you to remember the importance of life after breast cancer. Lymphedema has been a long overlooked problem for these survivors, and the time is now. The lymphedema community desperately needs a solution. Lymphatech has the technology to solve this problem and the connections to get it through the commercialization process into the hands of doctors to transform the lives of patients. We are Lymphatech, and we are improving the lives of breast cancer survivors. Thank you.
I think you'll agree it's impressive technology, another technology to meet an unmet medical need. And now let me invite to the podium Russell Allen, President and CEO of Georgia Bio.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here today. I'm thrilled to be here today, my first Life Science Summit to help produce I say help because the real hard work for this, the credit goes to Maria and the rest of our staff and the team with Informed Horizons who put on this show. So thank you all for your help, and especially to John and his team of volunteers. They put together an excellent program. I know you're going to really enjoy the rest of the day. I wanted to take just a few minutes to introduce you to the new Georgia Bio, if you will. And I say new because as our industry grows and as the needs of your companies change, so must your trade association. We need to be sure that we're staying ahead of the curve and meeting the demands of your growing businesses. And so we're doing that in several ways, and led by our board of directors, we have put together a new strategic plan for the organization. I won't go into great detail on that plan today, but I'm happy to share it with you at any time and talk to you about how it can impact your company and the value of your membership. But let me say our vision as Georgia Bio is to not only be a strong association, but be one of the strongest in the nation, leading one of the fastest growing bioscience states. We want to be recognized and positioned as the central voice of industry. That's for policymakers, for the public, for our partners, and of course our members and other stakeholders. A constant interactive networking environment is central to what we do. Without good networking, this organization doesn't provide that kind of value that you need for your businesses. So our objective is to put you together with the right kind of people to help advance your cause and your business. And lastly, but beyond networking, we want to demonstrate a clear value proposition so that there is no question when your renewal comes up for Georgia Bio membership, there's no question that you're ready to jump in and be a member for us year after year because the value that it's bringing to your company is so strong. So what do we do? How do we deliver that value? We deliver that in 4 ways. First of all, networking, which I already mentioned, includes many programs. The summit here, of course, is the culmination of those programs and the largest audience we bring together through the year. But looking at the calendar going forward and into 2014, we have 2 to 3 programs a month on our calendar now, not to mention all of the partnered programs we co-sponsor or co-host. Clinical Research in Georgia conference is coming up in December, for example. There's a booth out in our exhibit hall. You might want to take a look at that program. And there are many others that are coming in the near future in addition to the ones that we produce here at Georgia Bio. We want to provide direct business support. And what that means is strong education workforce programs. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a moment. Access to capital, access to partners, professional development programs. All of these things can be not handled by myself. I don't have the expertise necessarily that you need, nor does the Georgia Bio staff, but we know the people who do. And that's what makes an association like ours work well. We want to introduce you to the people who can help advance your business. And to do so, later this year, we're going to start the development of an online resource clearinghouse. So you'll have a one-stop shop online for all things biosciences here in Georgia. We want to promote the industry, both to you so that you understand what those resources are, but also to the rest of the world, and to encourage potential partners and potential investors and those who are involved with the industry to come here to Georgia to see what we have to offer and to do business with our companies and our universities. And lastly, we are your advocate. We are your voice at the Capitol. We want to work with the governor who is going to deliver some remarks for us this morning. We want to work with him and his team. We want to work with our legislature, and we want to work with Congress to make sure that the business climate for this industry continues to be strong and one of the strongest in the nation. So I mentioned the education and workforce initiatives, one of the direct business support programs that we have, and I'm proud to introduce Georgia BioEd Institute to you. We have formalized a business plan specifically for our education and workforce initiatives. That is led by Melissa Nikolic, who's here today. She has a booth in the exhibit hall as well for the Georgia Bio Institute. So if your business is in need of training assistance, if your HR directors are in need of assistance for your career networks and your hiring, or if you are affiliated with a school, a college, or a university, we want to be your partner. We want to help you. So I encourage you to visit the Georgia BioEd booth out in the exhibit hall. One example of bringing all this together is the Atlanta Science Festival. If you haven't already heard about this, we're proud to be a partner with the Atlanta Science Festival through the Georgia BioEd Institute, and you'll be learning more about that. That's coming up early next year. So my closing comments are that those of you who are current members of Georgia Bio, take a look at how you can enhance the value of your membership. Join a committee or a network. Get involved with our events. Make sure that you come to our happy hours or our professional development programs and all the programs we have in between. Help us to grow the association by identifying new members, to encourage your colleagues and employees to attend our activities. Use our purchasing programs. Some of our vendors are, one of our top sponsors of the conference today is VWR, which is offering substantial discounts on your lab supplies and equipment. If you're not already taking advantage of programs like that, and Office Depot and insurance programs and FedEx, we have a number of discount programs. These are substantial savings for your business. And lastly, get more exposure for your business through programs like the Summit by becoming a sponsor and an exhibitor so that we can introduce you to the rest of our members. And for those of you who are not yet members of Georgia Bio, we want to talk to you. We want to encourage your business to join. We are offering a discount on your membership, so if you paid a higher rate to attend the summit today, we will basically refund that difference to you of the member rate through the end of the day today if you'll come by and visit our booth. We have 3 tiers of membership. We're just introducing that middle tier called the Premier level, and those Premier and Champion level combine membership and sponsorship benefits. And lastly, we have benefits for all types and sizes of company. We have a startup membership category for those in their first or second year of business, all the way through to those champions that John mentioned to you earlier. So I am pleased to be leading Georgia Bio. If we haven't met yet and haven't had a chance to talk, please come see me throughout the rest of the day, and I hope you enjoy the summit. Now, it is my esteemed pleasure to welcome our first keynote of the day, the Honorable Governor Nathan Deal. Nathan Deal took the oath of office as Georgia's 82nd governor on January 10th, 2011. His top goal is to make Georgia the #1 place in the nation to do business. I think he's doing a great job of that and has been a very strong advocate for our industry. With the attraction of Baxter, for example, that we all know about, and numerous other programs that have helped to support our industry that I'll let him tell you about in more detail. Governor Deal had a law practice in Gainesville and then started 4 decades of service to his community as a prosecutor, judge, state senator, and U.S. congressman. During his 17 years in Congress, Deal rose to chair of the Health Subcommittee of Energy and Commerce, where he became a noted expert on entitlement reform and health care policy. I think we could use some of that expertise right now. Deal ended his congressional career to campaign for governor, becoming the Republican nominee in August 2010, and then winning the governorship in November of that year. Please help me welcome Governor Nathan Deal.
Well, thank you very much, Russell. And to those of you who are from outside of Georgia, welcome to our great state. To those of you who are from our state, thank you for participating in this conference this year. Up here, I sort of feel like a Baptist preacher, and I am a Baptist. We have a saying that, in a Baptist church, everybody sits in the back, and I think y'all are all Baptists from the way it looks up here. but I'm honored to be invited here to be part of this program. I want to thank, first of all, Georgia Bio, which is a nonprofit organization that sponsors this summit and has done so for, I believe now, the 12 years that it has been going on. Georgia Bio is an organization that has a very diverse membership, private corporations, individuals from universities within our systems, and also, of course, parts of government itself. So when you have Georgia Bio on your side, you have a very powerful advocate. Now, I understand that, as Russell has just mentioned, they have just recently launched the Georgia BioEd Institute. And this, of course, will give further assistance in educating people about the importance of the life sciences here and across the world. And we're proud that this is a new asset of Georgia Bio. There are many things that can be said about life sciences, a very broad category. But it includes many things to be successful and to bring products to the marketplace. It requires that there, first of all, be quality research, and I'm going to speak briefly about that in a minute. It also requires that there be creative designs by entrepreneurs who will take the research and put it into practical applications. And then, of course, it requires that be done in an efficient manufacturing process. I am told that Georgia has made tremendous progress in this area, and I am very proud of that fact. It's an area that my administration continues to emphasize as one of our growth arenas, and it is proving to be very true. The 2012 Shaping Infinity report says that the bioscience industry in Georgia has a $17 billion impact on our state every year and employs about 65,000 people, and these are high-paying jobs which add to our economy. If you add to that the CDC, which Georgia is proud to be the home of the CDC, and you add in university research that is taking place in our state, it comes to a total of a $20 billion impact and more than 94,000 jobs. Now, my staff suggested that I say to you that since the CDC was affected by the shutdown, and although I understand now they've been called back, so this is not quite a true statement at this point in time, but just a plug to say, get your flu vaccine shot. You'll save them a lot of work and trouble and save yourself a lot of inconvenience, I hope. And they recorded my getting my shot this year, and they tell me that if you go to my Instagram page, you can see me getting my shot. I'm not somebody who likes needles particularly, but hope that you will follow suit and do that. Associated with bioscience and life science, of course, is the health information technology industry. Georgia is very blessed to have nearly 250 companies and about 30,000 individuals employed in the health IT sector. We have several of the top health IT companies who are headquartered here in our great state. Hosting this BioLife Science Summit in our state for 12 years now, I think indicates the commitment that the state of Georgia, the companies in our state, and our citizens in general have to this very important arena, because it brings together both the public and the private sector in promoting these endeavors. Now, for a little insight into what state government is doing, let me share some figures with you. We recognize that government has a role to play in all of this, and we are trying to direct our resources in the most efficient and effective manner. In fiscal years 2013 and fiscal year 2014, which we are now in the fiscal year 2014 budget, we put $5 million and $10 million respectively for cancer research at the Georgia Regents University, Augusta. We also included a $45 million bond for the creation of a new cancer research building at Georgia Regents University's Augusta, or GRU. We believe that that will prove to be a very important investment of state resources. We've also appropriated funds on a continuing basis for our Georgia Research Alliance. And under that umbrella of GRA, we have an Eminent Scholars Program. And many of those are working in the science arena. In fact, about 2/3 of the eminent scholars that we have in our state are dedicated to the area of science. They are working in things like cutting-edge cancer research, as well as upgrades in our tissue bank, which we have funded as well as a part of the ongoing research into cancer. We are proud of the GRA, and we are proud of the 65 eminent scholars that we are sponsoring here in the state of Georgia. Let me just list a very few of those and tell you sort of what they're working on. Ami Klin is working and making great strides in autism detection in children. Ralph Tripp is working to develop effective drugs at attacking respiratory viruses in young people and in senior citizens. And Max Cooper's work in immunology has very far-reaching prospects and consequences. As Russell indicated, I have made my goal to make Georgia the #1 state in the nation in which to do business. And the bio-life science arena is one of those areas that we expect to continue to grow in. And we're making progress in the overall goal. For example, Area Development Magazine, which is one of those publications that surveys the United States to determine where is the best place to grow a business or to start a business, they currently rank Georgia as #2. CNBC ranks our workforce as #1. If you're #2, you try harder, and we are trying harder. We think we will continue to move up the scale in terms of rankings. So for any of you who are looking for places to do business, I open the door of invitation to you to come and be here in our great state. We have made reforms legislatively that we think will encourage and make the development of business more prosperous in our state. We recognize that we need to increase manufacturing at every level. The General Assembly passed major tax reform legislation last year, and part of that was the inclusion of tax reforms relating to the rollback and ultimate elimination of sales tax on energy that is used for manufacturing. We've already seen great strides in new businesses and growth of existing businesses based on that tax reform measure. We are also devoting money in our budget to encourage and expand our STEM education programs, and we are encouraging our universities to move in that direction, and they are doing so. And we are also encouraging our technical colleges to focus on producing the kind of workers that are needed in the industries that we already have and those that we anticipate will be coming. We are also proud of the fact that we currently have existing bio-manufacturers in our state, but as Russell alluded to, the biggest announcement we've had in recent years is of Baxter International, a major pharmaceutical company that is in the process of a $1 billion capital investment in a facility that is located just east of here, off of Interstate 20. It is taking advantage of a part of our technical college system that is known as Quick Start. Quick Start is a program whereby we will train potential employees for businesses so that when they open their doors, they will have a workforce that is trained and ready to go to work, and we do that at no expense to the company themselves. Baxter is taking advantage of that. In fact, we have just created, adjacent to the Baxter site, a new Georgia Bioscience Training Center. It will be used to train Baxter employees, but about 2/3 of the space in that facility is available for training of other businesses' employees. And if you are interested in that, we encourage you to contact us, because we look forward to making that very valuable resource available to you or to anyone else who is interested in coming to our state. Now, we've all talked about, and you will continue to talk about as a part of this summit, the importance of the bio-life science arena. And we all know that ultimately it is focused on improving the quality of life of individuals and improving their health. As research goes on, as entrepreneurs take advantage of that research and translate it into products and devices, and as the public is made aware of the availability of those things to their life and to their families, I think we will continue to see a growth in this arena. So if you're involved and interested in the bio-life sciences area, you've come to the right place for this summit, and we invite you to come to our state of Georgia, because we recognize that all of those who are involved in this very important industry truly have a global reach. Thank you for having me today.